feel like when we start getting into that, we're getting a little bit too serious about life. Like, it's a little bit too serious for me now, and I wear what I want. If I do want to wear a crop top, I will wear one. Or if I, want to wear something that's a little bit more trendy, like, I'm just not going, I'm not in the business of like trying to be perfect and like, oh, I want to be classy, not trendy. Like, I don't even care anymore. I really don't. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing better than I am. I've been sick since October 1st. I got sick just with a regular cold, but for me, it's never just a regular cold. It always spirals out of control into like a sinus infection and bronchitis, and like my immune system just needs to be a lot stronger. So I hope you guys are doing better than I am. I feel like I have said a lot on my various platforms, like I've changed, I don't feel like I used to, I don't feel like the girl who used to make the videos 3-4 years ago, like I'm so different now. And I feel like I keep saying this, but I haven't ever really explained how, like why and how I feel different. Obviously, when I started the channel, I was in my early to mid 20s, and now I'm in my early 30s. So a lot has changed between then and now. And I think I thought that I had to show up as exactly the same person that I was when I started this channel. And that is what has made it so difficult for me to post consistently here, is because even though I have shifted the conversation a little bit from femininity to womanhood, I still felt like I had to show up a specific kind of way. And that was always kind of the roadblock as to why I wasn't able to make content here as much as I wanted to. I realized that that expectation I was putting on myself, it was not coming from you guys. And then when I asked you on my community tab recently, like, what would you like to see? Like, how can I show up as who I am now, a 32-year-old married woman? Like, how can I show up as this person? So many of you commented and honestly gave me such good advice. I am so thankful for those of you who commented on my community tab post and were just like, hey, like, we've changed too. We're also not in our 20s anymore, or we also are in different phases of life, and we just want to hear. Oh my god, I'm literally getting an earthquake drill alert on my phone right now. I don't want to do this. I've done earthquake drills since I was 5 years old. I do not want to do this. Although we did just have an earthquake this morning again. So many of you were like, yeah, we've changed too. It's okay. Just show up where you are now. Like, just show up as who you are now, and that is enough. Like, we want to hear your perspective and like how you've changed from then to now. And that was something that I just never really thought about. Like, I didn't think you guys wanted to hear about that or see like the difference, because I guess in my perspective, like that version when I was younger, that version of myself was much like happier and freer and more feminine and all of these things. And this version of myself is different. I'm like much more mature, and I would say a lot more subdued. And so I just didn't think that you wanted to see that. Obviously, like, we do go through different phases and journeys and just stages of life. And we're not all always going to be 23. We're not always going to be 30. Like, life continues to move, and we continue to shift and change as life shifts and changes. And that's not a bad thing. And so thank you guys for commenting on that post and for helping me. So in today's video, I kind of want to go through and just talk about some of the ways that I've changed in the last 5 years, because I do think that my brain chemistry is completely different, and we'll talk about that in a second. So I think one of the most notable ways that I've changed is that I'm a lot less open with new people. I used to be a quite open book. And I mean, I've always been a little bit like shy, but like if I really felt connected with someone, like I would share things. Now I feel a little bit more reserved. I feel like people kind of have to pull stuff out of me in terms of like my emotions and what I'm feeling, and also just like things about myself. It's not as easy for me to just talk about my experience with people that I don't know. And that was something that was different before. I mean, obviously you guys saw, I would come on here and I would talk about all sorts of stuff that happened to me. All sorts of things, my relationships, my friendships, my family, like I would talk about everything. I was similar in person, but now that I'm older and I've had some distance from that version of myself, I'm just a lot less open with new people. Like I kind of let them take the reins of conversations a little bit more, and I just kind of listen. And if they don't ask, like, it took me a long time. There's a friend that I made a few years ago, and I remember her saying, like, I don't really feel like I know that much about you. And I was like, I just kind of keep stuff close to the chest. I feel like I'm a little bit more reserved. I'm a lot less likely to engage in conversation where I feel like I have to share personal information about myself. Also, this video is not meant to be like an advice video. This video is meant to be a sort of reset so that you guys can understand who I am now today. This is not about me giving you advice or telling you how you should live or what you should do. This is me telling you, this is who I am today. I'm, versus who who you have known me to be. So I just want to clear that up. Okay, the next thing that I've changed, this has to do with social media, is that I think a lot more before I post now. Back in the day, if I had a thought, like, it was like, oh, that would be a great topic for a video, or that would be a great topic for a blog post, or I want to talk about this. And something that I talked about on either my blog or on Patreon, I think it was Patreon, was the idea of giving myself consent before I agree to post something personal, especially something personal. Like, if it has to do with my family, my friends, my relationships, I have to like really sit and think about it and give myself consent, like ask myself, am I okay with this? Will future versions of me be okay with this being out there? Will our past versions of me okay with this being out there? Doing that has actually been very helpful because it has prevented me from sharing too much information online, which as a content creator is difficult because I think vulnerability and being personable and sharing is what kind of like engages people. But I can't do that at the risk of my own safety and at the risk of my own mental health. Like, I can't just share things willy-nilly. So I'm a lot less likely to just share personal information than I was in the past. And I feel like I wasn't even that likely to do it in the past, but even more so now, I just like, there's just certain boundaries that I don't cross. And if I feel like I want to cross them, I have to sort of sit with myself, ask myself, give myself consent, and then go from there. Do you guys remember when I made that video back in, I think it was in 2020. It was one of my earliest videos, and I talked about like my glow up, and I talked about how myself and my friends were like, oh, we don't want to shop at Forever 21 anymore, and we don't want to like, wear crop tops anymore, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. If you guys remember that, comment down below. But I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care about dressing my age. Like, I wear what I want to wear. Oftentimes it does not involve a crop top, but like, I don't like judge myself anymore for trying to be like the perfect woman or the perfect girl. Like, that is not something that I do anymore. And I think at the time of making that content, I really was trying to portray this perfect image, but I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care about dressing like I'm in my 30s or dressing age appropriately. Of course, like, I want to look presentable and I want to look nice and I want to look beautiful, but I'm not like going to be so harsh with myself about, oh, well, you're 32, so you shouldn't wear that. Those aren't the kind of, shoes or dresses or whatever that someone your age wears. I feel like when we start getting into that, we're getting a little bit too serious about life. Like, it's a little bit too serious for me now, and I wear what I want. If I do want to wear a crop top, I will wear one. Or if I, want to wear something that's a little bit more trendy, like, I'm just not going, I'm not in the business of like trying to be perfect and like, oh, I want to be classy, not trendy. Like, I don't even care anymore. I really don't. Another thing that is different is that I do wear less makeup. I was never like a huge makeup person, but when I started my channel, I was coming off the heels of my Miss California era, so the lashes were lashing all the time. I have not worn fake eyelashes in I don't know how long. Actually, I attempted to wear some like a couple weeks ago for a video. I couldn't even get them on. Like, I couldn't even figure out how to get them on anymore, and I was like, forget this. Like, I don't care. I used to always think that I needed to have lashes on in my videos, otherwise I didn't look pretty or I didn't look like, camera ready. But I don't think that way anymore, and I don't wear fake lashes, and I don't do that. I obviously still wear makeup, but I don't wear fake lashes, and I don't think I do my makeup as like intensely as I used to. So these next ones, I actually asked my mom. I asked her to tell me how she feels like I have changed in the last few years, and this is what she came at me with. She said, I've stopped accepting the bare minimum from anything or anyone. And I've stopped accepting the bare minimum from specifically friends, also from jobs, like just from like life and people in general. Like, it's not that I have high standards, it's just that I really value how I treat people, and I want people to treat me the same way that I treat them. And so if you are my friend and we have a conflict and I'm open to having a discussion about it and I'm open to like working through it, I want that same respect in return. And if I don't get that respect and you're not open to doing that, then like the relationship is just over. Like I'm not a groveler anymore. I'm not a please be my friend. I'm not a beggar. And I definitely think that I was like that in the past. I really wanted to hold on very, very tightly to people because I've never been someone to have like a whole lot of friends. Like I've always had like at least like, you know, 5 friends, all from like different groups, whatever. But I've never had like a lot of friends. And so I always wanted to hold on very tightly. And so I would accept really bad treatment from people in the name of just like, okay, well, but they're my friend. And I don't do that anymore. And my mom's like, yeah, you really don't. You don't have time for the nonsense anymore. And I don't. Also said that I understand myself and my identity better. And I would 1000% agree. I think I have always felt very proud to be who I am, to be a Black woman, to be Panamanian, to be Afro-Latina, to be African American. Like I've always been proud of that. But I do think that like as I've gotten older, my pride just continues to grow, and I feel so blessed to like have the lineage that I have. I think when I was younger, it was something that not that I struggled with, like I've always been proud of it, but you know, and this is a conversation for Patreon probably, but growing up going to predominantly white schools, you kind of get in this habit of always trying to align yourself with whiteness and always trying to get approval from whiteness or from white people or whatever. And that is just a struggle. My brother and I talk about it all the time. It's just like, it's a rough go. I think as I've gotten older and even like through, I would say even through college and like, you know, post-grad and everything, I learned so much more about my Blackness and about my heritage and about who I am. And I became so much more proud of it. And I don't know that I always was able to showcase that on this channel. Like I think I did, but obviously the "you act white" allegations were being thrown left and right all the time. I can't help how I talk. Like I just talk the way that the people around me talk. Like that's not something I can change. And I think we do the community a big disservice when we start throwing around those allegations, the "you talk white" allegations, the Oreo allegations, like all of that. Like I think we do each other a disservice because then we sort of create a monolith of what a Black person or a Black woman is supposed to be and do and look like. And that's very dangerous. Like that, we want to stay away from that. I don't think that I ever was trying to align myself with whiteness, but I do think that as time has gone on and as I've gotten older and I've learned more just about my own history, I am much more secure in my identity as a Black person and a Black woman. And I'm proud to say that. Sometimes it's like, I think people think that because I like to cook and bake and be a homemaker, that means that I'm like not, that means that I'm like not political, or that I'm not like pro-Black. Like I don't understand where the disconnect is. We're gonna have to dive into that in another video. Another big change in my life is that I am a married woman now. I'm married, and I've obviously been married for a few years, but I didn't really post much about my wedding. I didn't post anything about my wedding when it was happening, and I didn't really talk about it much after the fact, except to say that like the family drama was very traumatic. I'm a married woman now. When I started this channel, I was not married, I was not engaged. My husband and I were like fairly new-ish into our dating life, and now we've been together for like 7.5 years. So I'm coming to life and this channel from that vantage point. Whereas before I was coming at it from the vantage point of like a young girl who was still in her like dating era, her maiden era. And now I'm in my Mrs. era. and that definitely provides a different perspective for sure. Another way that I've changed is that I am a lot more aware of the potential for things to go wrong. Call it anxiety, call it OCD, I don't know. For a very long time, like things had not gone quote unquote wrong in my life. Like I was very content with my family. I was content living at home. Like things were good. I didn't have any health concerns. Like everything was always kind of chill, like, to be honest, like, thank God, knock on wood. And then things started kind of spiraling. Like I mentioned, all these different things happened, and I started to become like keenly aware of the fragility of life and just the way that life can change so quickly. And it could be a drastic change, like, God forbid, a death or a divorce or something like that, or it could be a small change, like, you know, a friend, losing a friend or something like that. Although I wouldn't even consider losing a friend a small change. It's a huge disruption to their nervous system. I'm much more aware now of the fragility of life. So if you sense any sort of like melancholy energy coming off of me, it is because I am just like keenly aware of how quickly things can change and how quickly life changes. And it could be, like I said, a big change or a small change. The one thing that we can always count on in life is, well, I would say death, taxes, and change. And that is just not something that I really even thought about before. And over the last few years, I've just become much more aware of just how fickle life can be and how easily it can change and just completely switch up on you and you not even see it coming. And then finally, another way that I've changed from then to now is that I have been diagnosed with uterine fibroids. You guys already know this. I've already talked about this. And for some reason, like, I never want to talk about it. Like, I just want to ignore it, but I can't. I'm sure many of you already know what this is, but if you don't, it's basically a condition where you have these benign growths on your uterus. This is something that is, at least for me, partially genetic. My mother had fibroids, my grandmother, all of my aunts, my cousins, everybody. It just like was a matter of time for me. Mine are not super problematic, but they do affect me emotionally very heavily. And so that's something that I'm also always keenly aware of, is your health can change quickly. You can go to the doctor for one thing and find out something else. That's what happened to me. And, you know, it's not that it's the end of the world, and I'm grateful that it's not something more serious, but it does affect me emotionally and mentally much more than it affects me physically. It's something that I'm constantly thinking about, because I'm constantly thinking about, okay, am I gonna have surgery to get rid of these things? Do I have to, like, you know, am I gonna be... And that's why, like, it might seem wishy-washy. If you guys are on my other channel, it might seem wishy-washy because half the time I'm like, oh, I'm trying to eat anti-inflammatory, and then the other time, half the time I'm like baking because I love to bake. But the idea behind fibroids is that they are sort of like your body's response to inflammation and excess estrogen and all this stuff. So eating a specific diet is supposed to help to shrink them over time. There are people who claim that this has worked for them. There are people who claim that they've tried it and it didn't work. There are people who just decide to go ahead and have surgery. It's a constant thought in my brain of what I'm supposed to do about this and what I need to do about it. And that's something that has changed, because when I started this channel, and even back when we were at Fancy Cottage, this was not something that was really heavily on my mind. It was not something I had to worry about. I was really able for a long time to just exist and not have to worry about that sort of thing. I know a lot of people have all sorts of reproductive system things, issues, concerns, PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids. Like, there's... I think it's more rare if you don't have one of these things in this day and age. Our world is so inflammatory, and our life is so, like, our lives are so stressful. Like, I think it's so, if you are one of these women who's walking around without any of these problems, count yourself so lucky, because in my friend group alone, I know one person with PCOS, and I have another friend with endometriosis, and I have fibroids, and, like, you know, it's not, I just feel like we're all dealing with something. But that's another thing that has changed, and that has affected me a lot too. So that's who I am today. Okay, that's who I am now. I felt like I felt like I couldn't make content on this channel without talking about that change and talking about the fact that, like, yeah, I'm not really the same person I was 5 years ago, and here's why, and here's what's happened, and here's how differently my mind works as opposed to before. And now, with this information in hand, and now that you guys know this, I feel like I can make content from a more honest place and a more authentic place, because I'm not trying to be the 24-year-old me that started the channel. So That is it for this video. Comment down below. I want to know how you guys have changed in the last few years or in the last 5 years. I think that we've all gone through a lot, like as a world, as a society, as a country. We've all gone through a lot, I think. So leave a comment down below how things that you have changed, things that you have kept the same. And if you watched this entire video, thank you for sticking around. And I will see you in another video very soon, hopefully. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that like button and the subscribe button. I've actually lost I've lost a lot of subscribers in the last like 2 years, but it's, you know, it's whatever, it's not a big deal. But if you're not subscribed and you like what I've said today, then consider subscribing and consider hitting the thumbs up button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.